Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Arlington Park here on Saturday. It is August the 11th, 2018. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on today's program, including the Arlington Million. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me tomorrow for a really good card of racing from Deauville in France. You know, it's a good Group 1 there, so join me on YouTube for a preview for that. Also join me tomorrow for some Saratoga previews here on at YouTube. But today's card from Arlington, great card. You know, the Million Day card is always good. So I'm going to look at the stakes races, which are races 8 through 12. The 11th race is the featured Arlington Million. And via races 8 through 12, there's going to be an all-stakes pick 5, 150,000 guaranteed. There's also going to be an all-stakes pick 4 also, which goes through 9 through 12. But we're going to look at races 8 to 12. Let's get on to it. Starting off with the 8th race, the only race of the sequence that's not going to be on the turf. The 8th race, it's the Bruce D. Memorial. Purse $100,000. It's for 3-year-olds here. A field of 9 horses going the distance of ground of 1,600 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Arlington Poly track. 1,600, the one-turn mile. And I show the diagram. It just gives me a second to look down at my notes. Just bear with me. Sorry, I'm stupid. I can't do two things at the same time. My top selection here, I like the 7-horse, the Tabulator. I'm going to go 7-5-1-9 in the superfecta. 7-5-1-9 super. In the multi-race, I would go 7-5 in the pick 5. But my top selection would be the 7-horse, the Tabulator. Jose Valdivia Jr.'s on this 3-year-old colt by Dialed In. Larry Ravelli trains. This horse's most recent outing came the 6th of July. That came at Prairie Meadows, a mile and 16th in the Iowa Derby. This horse finished 7th by 2.5 lengths there. And, you know, early on that day, you know, he set the pace, but then he just hit the wall. It was a very humid night, which probably cost him the victory, because even they mentioned this in the running line. Washi jostled and swamped. Watch the replay. You know, a lot of people think when you see a horse Washi, you always think about Shackelford before the 2011 Preakness Stakes, where he was all soapy and stuff. This horse is even worse, and this horse lost, unfortunately. But very humid day. Hopefully today it's not going to be as humid, and I think he should just run a major improvement of a race. Before that, he ran here in New York at Belmont, 7 furlongs in the Grade 2 Woody Stevens. He finished 7th by 12 lengths. Wide post draw, very wide, and he just didn't have anything. It wasn't the day to win. And then at Prairie Meadows on the slop, 6 furlongs made 3rd in the Golden Circle Stakes. Horse won by 6.25 lengths, on lead all throughout. It was a walk in the park first off, a little bit of a break. You know, he has started here at Arlington once, last summer, going 4.5 in a main special where he won by 9 lengths. Didn't have the best of starts, but he took off clear. So he's proven he can run on the all-weather. Sitting a little bit closer, what you want to do here, it's 2-1 ship price and out, but he'll be used on the multi-race along with the 5-horse. The 5-horse, no brag, just the fact. Brian Hernandez Jr.'s on this 3-year-old colt by the Factor. This horse's most recent outing came the 23rd of June. That came at Canterbury, 1 mile in the Majestic Lake Derby. This horse finished 2nd by length there. He ran a good race at 42-1 there. He stalked early, had the lead, got to overtaken right before the wire, but he ran his heart out there. Not a bad race at the end. Before that, he ran at Canterbury, 7.5 in an allowance race, 31,000. He finished. He won that day by length. He stalked early on, got through. Another good victory there. And then main special weight Keeneland, 1 mile on the 21st of April. Horse won by length. Again, stalked. Not a best of trips early on, but he got out just in time to get the victory. His last 3 were very good races. I think coming here, a little lesser quality race. I think it's a good spot for him. 3-1, he'll be used on the multi-race ticket. But to recap my selections for the 8th from Arlington, it's the Bruce D. Memorial. Top selection, I'm going to go to the 7-horse, the Tabulator. I'm going to go 7-5-1-9 in the superfecta. I'll go 7-5 in the pick 5. So now let's get on to race number 9. Race 9 from Arlington. It's the Grade 1 Secretariat Stakes. Purse $400,000. This race is for 3-year-olds here. Field of 13 horses going the distance of ground of 2,000 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/4 on the Arlington Park turf course. 2,000 meters, a mile and a quarter. The rail is in its true position, the Million lane, like they call it. So it's the 1 mile circumference race course, and this is a very good race. I think you could go three ways in this race, but as a top selection, I think the 8-horse Untamed Domain is a good top selection for me. I'm gonna go 8-13-9-4 in the superfecta. 8-13-9-4 super in the multi race. Now the pick four begins with this race, and it's the second leg of the pick five. I would use the 8-horse Untamed Domain. I would use the 13-horse Hunting Horn, and I would use the 9-horse Analyze It. So 8-13-9 for me in that regards. But my top selection, 8-horse Untamed Domain, 3-year-old colt by Animal Kingdom, who's best to be remembered as winning the 2011 Kentucky Derby and also winning the 2013 Dubai World Cup at Maidan very nicely. But I rather teases on this one for Grand Motion, who trained Animal Kingdom, but this horse's most recent outing was an absolutely crappy run. Not his fault, but he had a lot of traffic trouble at Delaware Park, a mile and 1/8 in the Grade 3 Kent. He finished 6th by 3 1/4 lengths there. As the favorite, he had to check a few times, in the straightaway. He just never got into it. Throw that race out. I think coming here wider stretch, getting the mile and a quarter, which this horse should really like. I think he's sitting on a big race here. Before that, he ran the 2nd of June at Belmont, a mile and 1/8 on the inner turf course in the Pennine Ridge, the local prep race for the Belmont Derby, or Derby, shall I say. This horse finished 4th by 6 3/4 lengths there. He sat a little bit closer, but he just couldn't get that good closing kick. The winner, Catholic Boy, who won next start out in the Derby, just ran that little bit of a better race on the front end. And then before that, this horse ran at Churchill, yielding ground a mile 16th, the American turf. This horse finished 2nd by 1.5 lengths. He had a very good turn of foot at the end, a little bit wide, but he closed up well. Wasn't a bad race there. And then before then, the Tampa Derby at Tampa, mile 16th on the dirt. Throw that race out. This horse is not a dirt horse. He's going to be a turf horse. He finished 6th by 13 1/4 lengths. Was done early, wide, and it just wasn't a day to win. He had a very good second place finish in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, nearly upsetting Mendelssohn. Since then, he's run very well on turf. I think like I said, I think the mile and a quarter should be up this horse's alley. If he has a clear trip today at 5-1, he should, watch out for him to upset here. I think the 13-horse, the Hunting Horn, should run a big one also. This 3-year-old colt by Camelot. Ryan Moore's on this one for Aidan O'Brien and the Coolmore Group. This horse ran on the 7th of July here in New York at Belmont, a mile and a quarter in the Belmont Derby. This horse finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths. Nobody's catching Catholic Boy that day. This horse was a little bit wide, and he just never kept the straight course while quickening up. It wasn't the day to win, but I think coming here, sitting a little bit closer today from the wide post draw, I think he can run a big one because he's faced a lot tougher horses, I think, in Europe. Mainly the start before in the Group 3 Hampton Court Stakes, where Alaska at a mile and a quarter, he won by 4.5 lengths, and that was a very tough race. But this horse, he quickened up nicely and just took off clear at 5-1. Good race before that race there. Sorry, that wasn't English, but it was a good race there for him. And then before that, in France at Chantilly, a mile 5/16 in the Group 1 Prix de Jockey Club, he finished 6th by 2 1/4 lengths there, and he just weakened out of it. The winner, Study of Man, just ran a hell of a race there. This horse wasn't catching him, but I think here, he's definitely good enough to win. A little step down in class from his European races. I'll use him on the multi-race pick 4, pick 5 ticket, along with the 9-horse Analyze It. 2-1 here, ship price now. This 3-year-old colt by Point of Entry. Jose Ortiz is on this one for Chad Brown. This horse ran in the Belmont Derby a few weeks ago at Belmont, a mile and a quarter inner turf course. He finished 2nd by a head. He stalked most of the race. He just missed, but he ran a very good effort there. Before then, the Pennine Ridge, he finished 2nd behind Catholic Boy, and again, he ran a very good effort, just missing. But that day there was a little bit of contact in the stretch, a little bumping, so maybe they could have looked at it, but he did run a good effort there. And then before then, in the Transylvania at Keelan, a mile 16th yielding ground, horse won by 5 1/4 lengths. Sat a little bit back early, but took off in the straightaway. Could have won by more, but Jose Ortiz didn't want to kill the horse. It was a very good race for this horse. I think here, this horse is another horse that you use on your multi-race ticket, so he'll be definitely used on mine, so watch out for him. But to recap my selections for the 9th from Arlington, it's the Grade 1 $400,000 Secretariat Stakes. Top selection, I'm going to go to the 8-horse Untamed Domain. I'm going to go 8-13-9-4 in the superfecta. I'll go 8-13-9 in my pick 4, pick 5, my multi-race ticket, whatever I decide to play. So now let's get on to race number 10 from Arlington. Race number 10 from Arlington. It's the Beverly D Stakes, Grade 1 per $600,000. This race is for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 9 horses going to the post. A distance of ground of 1,900 meters. Distance not run a lot in North America, especially on turf. 1,900 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.3 miles on the Arlington lawn, the turf course. 1,900, mile 3/16. This has always been one of my favorite races because you just see some really good horses running in it. My top selection, I'm going to take a bit of a long shot, and I mean a small long shot. The one horse, Daddy's Little Darling, will be my top selection. I think she should really like this turf course. A lot of pace in front of her should really suit her here. I'm going to go 1.893 in the superfecta. 1.893 super to the multi-race now. I'm gonna go too deep here. I'm gonna use the 1 and the 8. I'm not gonna use anything else. I think it's a 2-horse race between those two, but my top selection here, the 1-horse Daddy's Little Darling, 4-year-old filly by Scat Daddy. Brian Hernandez Jr. is on this one for Kenneth McPeak. This horse's most recent outing came in the local prep race for this race here at Arlington, mile 3/16 in the grade 3 Modesty handicap. This horse won by 2 1/4 lengths there. That day from the wide post draw, sat a little bit closer than this horse normally does, but this horse got a good clear kick at the top of the lane and then took off. Very good victory for this horse there, changing up the tactics, something you want to see. I like horses that change up the tactics, but she won very nicely today from an inside post draw. I could see her sitting a little bit towards the back of the pack with a quick pace in front of her. I think she'll like it here a lot. This is the horse, if you remember, if you're watching this while you're right now, if you're in the UK, this is the horse Kenny McPeak sent over to run in the 2017 English Oaks, the Investec Oaks, and dropped Olivier Pellier going to the post, and they had to be withdrawn. So some of you people might remember that, but since they put this horse to turf, this horse has just been been on another level, been really good. But before the Modesty, this horse ran here in New York at Belmont, a mile and a quarter in the inner turf course in the Grade 2 New York Stakes. This horse finished third by 1 1/4 lengths and was far back early. If you remember, early on in the race, the horse opened up by 20. But this horse, he closed up well in a race course that does not play towards closers. It wasn't a bad race at the end. And then before then, the Bewitch at Keeneland, a mile and a half, April 27th. First off, a little bit of a break. This horse finished second by 3 1/4 lengths. And again, a little bit wide and just never had the good closing kick. Maybe the mile and a half was a little bit too long that day, but I think the mile and a quarter should be her, or mile 3/16 should be the better distance. And then before that, this horse ran the Hillsborough at Tampa, mile 8th, March 10th. Horse finished 4th by length. Didn't have the best of trips, and needed the race, I think. But one of her best races in 2017 came at on the 30th of December at Santa Anita, mile and a quarter in the Grade 1 American Oaks. This horse took off, won by a half length, getting the Grade 1 victory. It was an all-around good victory for this horse. Like I said, I love this horse at 8-1. I think she should run a big one, so she'll be my top selection. She's my co-best bet of the day. My best bet comes up in the next race, so stick around for that. But watch out for her. Another horse I think can run a big one, and I'll use her on the multi-race, the 8-horse in Flexibility. And in my multi-race tickets, I'm not using any of the favorites this one. I'm using long shots, both 8-1. So the 8-horse in Flexibility, 4-year-old filly by Scat Daddy. Joel Rosario is on this one for Chad Brown. This horse's most recent outing came at Woodbine, the 30th of June, a mile and a quarter in the Grade 2 Stand Smartly. This horse finished second by a half length. She got beat by a very good horse by the name Santa Monica, who I believe is with Chad Brown also. But this horse, a little bit wide, he just couldn't get Santa Monica, who I think might be one of the best of older filly mares on the turf in North America at the minute. Like I said, this horse just couldn't catch her there. But before that, the Butte at Belmont, mile 16th inner turf course. Horse finished second by 3 lengths. A little bit of a turn of foot at the end. It wasn't a bad race there. And then before that at Aqueduct, mile 16th inner turf course, optional 80 claimer. This horse won by 2 1/4 lengths. Stalked early, got the lead, and then took off. I think coming here, getting the mile 3/16, this horse you really like. Sitting a little bit closer, I like this horse's chances a lot at 8-1. Like I said, this horse you want to use on your multi-race ticket. So to recap my selections for the 10th from Arlington, it's the Grade 1 Beverly D. It's the top selection here. I'm going to use the 1-horse Daddy's Little Darling, my co-best bet here of the day. I'm going to go 1.893 in the superfecta. That's my top 4. But in my multi-race ticket, pick 4, pick 5, I'm going to go 1.8. So now let's get on to today's featured 11th race from Arlington. Race number 11 from Arlington. It's the feature race. It's the Arlington Million, Grade 1 per $1 million. This race is for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 11 horses going to the post. The distance of ground here of 2,000 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/4 on the Arlington turf course. 2,000 meters, a mile and a quarter. Great race here. I think it's a very wide open event. My top selection, my best bet of the day, will go in this one. It's going to be the 5-horse Century Dream. Going to go 5-8, 2-11 in the superfecta. 5-8, 2-11 super. To the multi-race now, I would go 5-8-2. 5-8-2 in the multi-race, pick 4, pick 5. But my top selection and my best bet would be the 5-horse Century Dream. 4-year-old colt by Cape Cross. William Buick gets the leg up for Simon Crisford, sending this one in from the UK. This horse's most recent outing came the 14th of July at Ascot. 1 mile on firm ground in the Group 2 Summer Mile. This horse finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths there. He sat a little bit closer there. He quickened up a little bit, but it wasn't a bad race. But this horse, I think, getting the mile and a quarter, the extra quarter of a mile, should really help this one a lot today. Before that, this horse ran at Ascot, Royal Ascot to be exact, in the Group 1 Queen Anne. This horse finished 4th by 3/4 length there. Sat a little bit towards the front of the pack early on. It quickened up a little bit, just missed, but it was a good run at 20-1 there. And then before that, at Epsom, mile 16th in the Group 3 Diomed. This horse won by 2 1/4 lengths, sat a little bit closer early on, quickened up nicely, and another good victory for this horse. And then before that, won the Listed Paradise Stakes at Ascot very nicely in early May. This is the kind of horse that should really like a little bit of giving the ground, not a firm ground like you've been seeing in the UK the last few weeks. Like a good ground this horse should really like, and I think he might get it today. And I think he's going to run a big one. Wouldn't it be good for William Buick? He got injured on the Arlington Million card in 2017. Wouldn't it be good for him to come back in 2018 to win the big one? And I think he has a very strong chance to win it with winning this race with this horse. 12-1. He'll be getting a lot of money from me here today, so watch out for him. But say he doesn't show up. Just say he doesn't. In the multi-race, pick 4, pick 5, I would add the 8-horse to the ticket, money multiplier. 6-1, the 6-year-old Ridgeling by Looking at Lucky. John Velasquez gets the leg up for Chabaran. This horse's most recent outing came in the Grade 1 UN at Monmouth a few weeks ago, mile 3/8. This horse finished second by half length behind Fantastic. A little bit of a trouble trip early on. He closed up well, but the winner Fantastic just set some easy fractions and he just took off with it. This horse, he was just second best. Before that, in the local prep race for the UN at Monmouth, mile 8th in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes, this horse won by 3/4 of the length. He stalked early. He got up there just in time. It was a good race for this horse. First start off the break. Before that, he ran the Middle East in Qatar at Doha in the Group 1 Emirates Trophy, or I think that's what the race is called, going a mile and a half. He finished 3rd by 1 1/4 lengths there, and he set the pace early on, but then he just kind of crumbled. He really couldn't keep up with them there. And then before that, a week earlier in the Gulfstream Park Turf at Gulfstream, he finished 7th by 3 lengths. Distance was a little bit too short, and track wasn't playing to him that day. The winner heart-to-heart was on lead all throughout. Ran a hell of a race. This horse just, he needed the race. But I think in the mile and a quarter here today, if this horse has a good trip, I think you get a piece of it. 6-1, he'll be used on the multi-race ticket, along with the 2-horse here, Spring Quality, 6-year-old gelding by Quality Road, Grand Motion trained. The veteran Edgar Prado gets the leg up. This horse ran here in New York at Belmont a few weeks ago, a mile and a quarter on the inner turf in the Manhattan, and this horse upset it at 18-1, winning by a neck from the wide post draw. This horse was very wide, but he got there just in time, closing up on a race course that does not play towards closers. A good run for this horse there. Before that, in the Fort Marcy at Belmont, a mile and 1/8 inner turf course, horse finished second by 3/4 length, and again closed up well at the end. It wasn't a bad race. And then before that, at Aqueduct, a mile and 3/8 in the Red Smith, this horse won by half length. Stalked, got the lead. A very nice victory for this horse. Another horse should love this distance of ground of a mile and a quarter. He has a good posture, has a good running style for this race. If he has a clear trip, I think he could upset at 8-1. So he'll be used on the multi-race ticket, and he might actually get a small each way wager from me also, a small win place wager, shall we say. So watch out for him also. But to recap my selections for the 11th from Arlington, it's the Grade 1 $1 million Arlington Million. Top selection of my best bet of the day is going to go to the 5-horse Century Dream. I'm going to go 5-8, 2-11 in the superfecta. I'll go 5-8-2 in my multi-race pick 4, pick 5 wager. So now let's get on to race number 12 from Arlington. Race number 12 from Arlington, the nightcap. It's the Pucker Up Stakes, Grade 3, purse $100,000. This race is for fillies, 3-year-olds here. Field of 13 horses going to the post. The distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.1 miles on the Arlington Lawn, the turf course. 1,800 meters, 1.1 miles. Last leg of the pick 4 and the pick 5. My top selection here, I'm going to go to the outside, the 13 horse, Beyond Blame. Going to go 13, 10, 3, 6 in the superfecta. 13, 10, 3, 6 super. In the multi-race to end it off, I'm going to go 13, 10. So 13, 10 to end it off. But my top selection, the 13 horse, Beyond Blame. 3-year-old filly by Blame here. Florent Giroux's on this one for Brad Cox. This horse's most recent outing came the 16th of June at Churchill, 1.1 miles in the Grade 3 Regret Stakes. This horse won by 1.5 lengths there. He closed up well from the back of the pack after a troubled beginning, and he got the victory. Wasn't the most impressive, but he got the victory. Before that at Churchill, May the 4th, 1.16 miles in the Grade 3 Edgewood. This horse finished 6th by 6 lengths there, and he had a horrible trip. Traffic trouble. He had to check a few times. It wasn't the day to win, and then before that, the fairgrounds, about 1 mile in an optional 50 claimer. Horse won by 4 lengths. He sat back early stalking, but got the lead, and then he took off. Took very good advantage of the long stretch. A very nice victory. Could have won by more, but Florent Giroux didn't want to kill the horse. It was a good race for this horse. And then before that, in the La Kembe Memorial at the fairgrounds, about 1 mile, March the 10th. Horse finished 2nd by a length. He just missed. The winner, Cabello, who's actually running this run, just ran a little bit of a better race, but he ran his heart out there, nearly winning. I think here from Y Postra, this horse can get the job done, so watch out. I'm also going to use the 10 horse here, Secret Message, on the multi-race. This 3-0 filly by Hattrick. I read Ortiz Jr.'s on this one for Grand Motion. This horse's most recent outing came in the Regret at Churchill, 1.8 miles firm ground, June the 16th. A very humid night. This horse finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths there. Didn't break all that well, and a decent turn of foot at the end, but it was just looking at the horse during the race, the horse looked a little sweaty, and I don't think the horse liked the humidity that night, so you could give this horse a little bit of a break in that race. Before that, Pimlico, soft ground, and I mean soft ground was being polite. It was almost like a sludge, heavy ground on the turf course, and the Hilltop Stakes, May the 18th. This horse finished 2nd by 6 1/4 lengths. If you weren't on the pace on the front end at Pimlico on that turf course that week, and you weren't winning, this horse was 2nd and still didn't win. It was a weird race there. He didn't break all that well, and he just wasn't catching a winner. They ran the mile 151 and 3, which is super slow. The harness horses run faster than that on a regular basis, but it was just a weird race. Throw it out. And then before that, Turfway, mile on the poly track in an allowance race, 18,000. Horse won by 1/4 lengths. He stalked early, got the lead, and then took off clear. I think here, good posture, very versatile, could sit a little bit closer, come from behind. I think she could upset at 12-1. She'll be used on my multi-race ticket. But to recap my selections for the 12 from Arlington, it's the Grade 3 Pucker Up. Top selection here. Going to go to the 13 horse Beyond Blame. Going to go 13, 10, 3, 6 in the superfecta. I'll go 13, 10 in the multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.